So, Shelli, when did you start running?
I've always ran, even from primary school.
Yeah?
And then when we moved up to Redcar from Cambridge, I started running with school. Well, actually, I ran cross country and came third from last. Prior to that, I thought I was a really good runner because we lived in quite a small village. And
it was flat in Cambridge, right?
Yeah, very flat in Cambridge. And then we never trained or anything, but sports days and everything else, and I was always one of the fastest runners, so I just naturally thought I was a good runner. And then discovered I wasn't at cross country. Came home, complained to my stepdad and said, can't believe I've come third from last and things, and there was a bit of a hill at Saltburn Valley Gardens it was. So he said, right, well, come to running club tomorrow night with me. So I went to running club and that was it.
Running club where?
Newmas Carriers.
Okay.
So I'm still a Newmas Carrier now.
So how long have you been with them?
How old am I now? Coming at 40 since I was 11.
Oh wow.
So quite a long time.
Proper long service award.
Yeah.
Wow. Blimey. So from 11 till what were you doing? Were you just going every week?
Yeah, we just went once a week, Tuesday nights, and then came home and got lasagna for tea. So pretty much that was my weekly training, and then started running around the woods, just with our dogs and things, and running with those. But we were involved in long distance walkers as well.
Okay.
So we would help on checkpoints at races and things. Before there was ultra events, it was always LDWA events. So
when you started running longer distances, what sort of distances did you do?
Well, one Friday night we went for our normal little 3-mile run around the woods. My stepdad says, John's dropped out the Pathfinder tomorrow, do you fancy coming to run with me and you can have his number? So so that was 25 miles.
25 miles, so you kind of went from 3 to 25?
From 3 on the Friday night to 25 the next morning. And it was really bad weather, it was foggy, it was raining. But really good atmosphere and very supportive, and because I was a child, I was 13 and everyone was talking to me and encouraging me and things, and I was quite shy and things as well, so I think I really liked all the adult attention, and then I managed to come third lady. So
wow.
It wasn't an outstanding time, but I'd finished and come third, so it hit the papers.
Okay, so you're 13, you're in the papers, just done 25.
This is quite nice. I might do some training now.
And then did you then go on and do more marathons?
Yeah, so since we'd done that, Trevor, my stepdad, he got really into it as well, and so this was October, so he entered me for another one, which was the Salters Gate the following May. He gave me, I think it was May. Anyway, he did a training plan for me. I'd gone away back down to Cambridge for the 6 weeks holidays. I had a training plan which I followed every single day. I was up before my brothers and sisters, and to go out running every morning and do exactly what the plan had said. And then, I knocked an hour off my next marathon, and then this was for a 28-mile one that I'd got the training plan for, and we were going for the parent and child one. So so we won that.
You won that as well?
Yeah.
So how old were you with the parent? So you won the parent and child?
Yeah. And I was 14 then.
14?
14.
So then what did you do in the next period of time?
Then how did we go from there? Just we entered some more, so I did the Pathfinder again.
Okay.
Knocked another hour off on that one, so we'd gone down to 4 hours something on that. So that was brilliant. And then when I was 15, I put in for the Cleveland Classic, which was a 56-mile run.
Right. So what year was, I don't mean to keep aging you, but what year was this?
94, I think it was. 93 or 94.
Okay, so well before any kind of ultra explosion or anything like that.
But that was around the Cleveland Hills around here.
Okay.
So, and that was, but I just ran it on my own. I didn't have an adult with me. I just did it.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was good.
How was the route finding?
It wasn't too bad because it was really popular with walkers and runners, and because I was doing a bit of both really. But they had a youth prize on that, so that was the under 18s category it was. So I've got a really nice glass goblet thing that I'm going to put in the shop anyway.
Okay.
They're just all in boxes in the garage at the moment. So anyways, but there was somebody else that was doing it as well. He was a little bit younger than me, but a boy, so obviously I wanted to beat him. So managed that, and it was good. It was hard, and there were some bits. The bit I always remember was Captain Cook's over to Roseby Topping, and I thought we were lost because I didn't know it particularly well at that time, and it just seemed to take forever. We just seemed to be on that little stretch for for hours.
And that's not far, is it?
No, it's not far at all, but it seemed forever when I was that age. And I remember crying and thinking, I'm lost. No one's going to find me.
So then, fast forward 10 years.
Yeah.
So you're in your, and I don't know your personal history, but I know now you've got kids.
Yeah.
You've got a full-time job.
Yeah.
And you've got a busy full-time job. You're in the police.
Yeah.
You're in the police service. So 10 years on, what were you doing then? So how old were you?
10 years on.
Had one of the children appeared at this time?
Yeah. Well, I definitely had one. So at 19, I was pregnant with my first child.
Okay.
So I think running then I kept up because it was a bit of, obviously it wasn't the greatest bit of information in the world for my parents and for the rest of my family to know I was pregnant. I was at university.
Okay.
I had 5 part-time jobs, and one of my big things was that I didn't want to give up my running, and I think they thought I was going to give up uni and give up running, so I didn't give up running and I didn't give up university.
Oh, great.
So I did those. Then my only way of training was running with my son in his buggy. So, and I was completely and utterly skint, and running was free. So I could just go out and train. It didn't matter what time I went, and I didn't need money to do it.
Yeah.
So I just went and ran, and still did my same few races that I'd always done, which was the Pathfinder, the 25 mile. I always do that because it was my first ever one. The Cleveland Classic I was still doing then. And to make sure I did that every year until it stopped. I think I was early 20s when that race stopped.
Okay.
So,
You just kept that going?
Yeah, carried on doing that, and Salter's Gate and what other ones did I always used to do? There's a few anyway, about 4 over the year that I always used to do. 4 or 5, and then just the local fell races as well in the middle. Just used to take Joel in his buggy and leave him with somebody at the start and saying, can you just keep an eye on him? And then as he got bigger on his little bike and things, and just leave him in a car park on the bike. Probably not the safest move in the world, but
it's fine. He
survived.
He's still there.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So then, we're into the early 2000s at this point?
So then I joined the police and started my son, obviously, and then I had my daughter as well. So then I had, what was the age difference, about 7 years between them. So then I'd have one on the bike, one in the buggy, and a couple of dogs. And that was my training schedule then.
And you're working in the police, which isn't a 9 to 5?
No, shift work and things. But shift work's alright, shift work's great for training. So it's good for training, and it's good for sleep deprivation if you do anything that involves overnight.
So you like training for sleep deprivation?
Yeah, that was my training. I had to stay up.
So how did you get involved with the Hardmoors? When was the first Hardmoors race that you did?
First Hardmoors was, this is 3 years, 160, 3 years, 110, 7 years ago. And I did the 55 first, but I'd actually entered the 110. So I was using the 55 as a recce for the 110.
And which way around was that, the 55?
Helmsley to Gisborough.
Okay.
Which is my favourite way.
Yeah?
Yeah, I much prefer it that way.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Why is that?
I think it's fast at the start because it's not overly hilly, and I like it when people are tired and you have to work hard on the hills and you feel like you're catching up on people. Whereas I think when you're fit, and my fitness levels are always debatable depending on what the kids have got on. So I think when you're fit and you've just set off and you hit the hills, you're probably running a lot faster on them, and then you get to the flat, and if you're fit, you can run that fast. Whereas I just think, right, I'll just try and do the flat bit as quick as I can, which is probably quite rubbish, and then I hit the hills, and then it's just stamina, isn't it? So, and then I feel like I'm running home as well.
And do you try and catch? I don't know if there are people in front of you. Do you have people in front of you try and track them down, or you're just trying to keep ahead of people? Yeah,
well, if I'm ahead of people, I'll try and stay ahead, and if not, it's just try and catch people, and just. It's not so much using them as a target, it's just to keep you focused, isn't it, and keep your brain switched on, and because otherwise I go off into my own little world and think, right, what have I got to do when I get home, and did I sort out the homework, and did I organise things, and what's going on at work, and then if I've got my phone, which is normally part of the kitchen, normally one of my staff's ringing me saying, wow, can I have tomorrow off, and I've had some incident last night, oh, can you do this for me? And, oh, are you running? It sounds like you're outside. Yeah, I'm in a race, but it's fine, carry on.
Do you like running in company, or do you like running on your own?
I do like running on my own, but I think over the last couple of years, I've run quite a bit with Heather Mockery, and I love running with her. It's really entertaining. We both have similar sort of backgrounds with the kids and trying to fit running in, and I think we have a good understanding of how difficult that can be sometimes. So we like it. We compare notes and whinge.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's probably the only time we ever get to see anybody, because for me, I hardly ever get to see my friends or keep up with people, because it's work, horses, kids, and then try and get some sleep, and then starts all over again. It's Groundhog Day.
So does the race become a social occasion for you?
Yeah,
then?
definitely.
And that's like, instead of going to a party, you're going to a race.
Yeah, I love it. I know that everything's organised. I can race, I can chat to people, and everything's organised and sorted, and I can just enjoy myself and relax and not think I'm going to be late for school, I'm going to be late for work, or whatever else it is.
Cool. What about what was the first 110 that you did?
The first 110 was 7 years ago, and I entered that, funnily enough, because I've been speaking to Neil Ridsdale and Martin Dietrich at the Castleton 10K, and that was when the 110 used to be September. So on the start line, I said, oh, are you doing the 110? And I said, oh, I've never heard of it, when is it? And he said, 2 weeks' time. And I actually debated, thinking, right, have I got anything on in 2 weeks? I'll just enter and go and do it. Anyway, life took over and I never managed to do it. So then I thought, right, I'm definitely doing it next year. So that's why I entered it.
Okay.
And then obviously did the 55. But that first 110, I was really, really nervous of and excited. I'd obviously done 50 odd mile races when I was younger, and then I'd done the Rotherham Round, which is a 50 miler. I think it's 55 or 50, whatever it is. And the light wake I'd done, which is 42. So I'd done those loads, but I'd never upped that and raced the longer distance. So on the start line, I was going to be nerve-wracking and things, and I tore a ligament in my knee of 27 miles. But I was doing it for sponsorship, and there was no way I was coming back and saying I hadn't finished. So I finished it, and I was in absolute agony. It wasn't the best of organisation, typical for me really, for checkpoints or anything else. And we finished, and it was my ex-husband and his dad that were helping me. So they finished, they'd been awake for the whole time, and they just wanted to get home. So I literally finished, had a cup of tea, got in a van and drove back. Got in a bath, went straight to bed, got up the next morning, passed out, and I was really quite ill afterwards. Wouldn't recommend it. Went to physio and they said I tore my medial ligament, not to run for 6 weeks, which took me to Lightwake Day. I was well, actually I've got a race then, and I really like the Lightwake, and I intend on doing that. So I went on my bike a few times, swam a couple of times, and then did the Lightwake, and it was fine. It was fine? Yeah, it was fine.
And since then, I'm guessing that wasn't a great result in your head.
I did 27, what did I do, 27 hours something, I can't remember now, about 27 and a half I think it was.
For 110 miles? Yeah,
but that was with the torn ligament, and I was leaning on fences and trying to grab my leg over a stile, and all the steps down towards Scarborough End, they were horrendous because I couldn't move my leg properly.
That's an amazing result though, isn't it?
And I just thought I was unfit, to be fair. But anyway, so I was quite pleased that I could actually say, oh, actually I've got something wrong with my knee. That's the reason why, I'm not just rubbish.
And how many times have you done the 110 now then?
3 times.
3 times?
Yeah.
And what was your fastest time?
22 hours, 10 minutes.
You didn't have to look in a book to find that,
no,
did you? You knew that.
I know exactly what it is,
yeah.
So the next year I wanted to do it again and redeem myself, because I thought, well, I haven't done particularly great there. So I wanted to redeem myself on that one. And Sharon Gator had got the fastest time the year before. She'd done 24, 21. So I wanted to beat that time. But they changed the finish that year, so it wasn't in the middle where the hall is, in the middle of the village.
Okay.
Where the 60s finished, so I can't remember what the hall's called. Anyway, they'd moved it to Filey School. So I didn't know that last little bit, the tape had been moved, and it was obviously a bit further to the school then. But I thought, no one's going to look at it and see where the different finishes were. They'll just look at that year, that was that time. The next year, that was this time, it was slower. They're not going to think, well, actually, it's a mile further or 2 miles further, whatever it turned out to be. So I was adamant I needed to beat it. Anyway, I get really bad hay fever on that last checkpoint from the golf club. You go down a little gap through the hedge next to the caravan site, and it was like a sun trap, and it was boiling hot, and I just couldn't breathe, and I felt like I was having some sort of panic attack thing, so I couldn't breathe at all. My stepdad was running with me, and he was like, right, enough's enough, Shelli, just stop. I was thinking, I can't stop, I need to beat the time. So I dragged myself into the finish line. It was a complete state, but I got the time by 2 minutes. So I was happy with myself, but I knew I could do better. So third year running was, right, I'm under 24 hours, I want sub 24, I know I can do it.
The third year this is your third 110.
Third 110, yeah.
You wanted to go sub 24 hours.
Yeah.
Did you have a training plan in mind that year? Was it the focus of your year, or was it just one of a number?
No, I think it worked well because I'd been promoted by then, so I'd gone into custody and I was on 4 on 4 off. So 12-hour shifts I've always managed to train quite well on.
Okay.
So I used to train after early turns, but only if it was running club night, otherwise I didn't. Long changeover, I would train all day, and then I would work that night, go to bed between my night shifts, and then my first day off I would train, so I'd have 4 days solid training. But I'd drop my daughter off at school and then train all day until I picked her up. So I trained across the whole route, and one of the other sergeants that I worked with was really into cycling, so I'd cycle a lot with him as well. So we'd do 50 milers, 20, 30 milers between nights, and all sorts of things anyway. So the training was really good, and I knew the route, and I just felt brilliant when I finished. I could have just run forever that day.
And your time was for that third one?
22:10.
22:10.
Yeah.
And when was that?
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
So 2013.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Like that, yeah.
Okay. So what's happened since 2013?
Well, I was going to go again and try and get sub 22 because I thought that's easily done, but then they introduced the 160. So that would be rude not to have a go, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So the 160.
The
first.
160.
When was the first year for that?
4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago. What year were we in? 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what year that is. 40, 50, and maths isn't my strongest point. 2014.
So you had a go at that?
Yeah, did that and just set off. And it was well, actually, it was quite scary on the way over there because it'd been raining. It was foggy and just all sorts. But then the sun came out and it was great. And then about 10 o'clock at night, it started raining and didn't really stop until Sunday. So wrecked feet, just blisters everywhere. It's just like being in the bath for too long when your feet have gone so wrinkly, but huge dells, and it was just so painful. Every footstep you took, oh God, my feet hurt. Well, everything hurt anyway.
And do you change your kit when you're doing a race like that? Do you have kit changes
I did,
and stuff?
but nothing really seemed to make me feel any more comfortable. It
Right.
was just absolutely bouncing. The rain was just coming back off the floor, and I just couldn't believe how hard it was raining.
Difficult weather.
Yeah.
But you finished?
Yeah, of course.
And so where did you finish?
I came second overall.
Okay, and in what time?
What time did I do? 40... What time did I do? 40 and a half hours? 41? 41 hours? 40 and a half, 41 hours, something
So you were
like that.
first lady,
Yeah.
second overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, pleased with that?
Yeah, I was really chuffed with it. But there was the three of us that went together. So it was Lee that won, myself and Neil. And the three of us just ended up sort of sticking together, which was really nice. And we sort of kept each other moving. And then we had a few people come out the first night.
Okay.
So it was a bit of a party atmosphere going for Bloworth. And I always hate Bloworth. So that was nice. We were just chatting and just running, and it felt really good.
And there's that picture we've got the picture in the office of the three of you running
love that
on the tracks. We've got
Yeah.
the picture of the three of you running on the track just from behind.
Yeah.
But the light's beautiful, the light coming through the trees is just
That was
beautiful.
the Friday evening when we set off. So it's very deceiving to what the weather then turned out like.
Yeah, that was a beautiful day. I don't know what you're moaning
See
about.
the pictures after that, they're like a drowned rat.
And that was, you were going from Scarborough to Helmsley at that point, weren't
it was,
you?
yeah. Yeah, the Tabular Hills, which was the bit I was concerned about because that was the bit I knew the least. I'd gone out and recce'd it though, but I was still quite concerned about it because I've always stuck really to North Yorkshire because it's less travelling time and less organising for the kids to be looked after.
Sure.
And having the time to go out and recce it. So I know that bit far better than anywhere else.
And then, have you done the 160 since?
Yeah, did the 160 again the next year, and there'd been a lot of people saying to me about, well, you should win it outright, try and win it outright. So I felt a bit of pressure, but I wanted to do it for the girls, and I thought, right, I just need to just go all out and try and win it. And I didn't want to do it for me. I wanted to do it to prove to the girls that it could be done. And so that was what I did.
And how did the race start off? What was the
By
first
all
part?
accounts, the race started far too fast, and I should have slowed down. But I felt brilliant, and I just thought, well, I just run. I always run to how I feel. I know I have a bit of a fancy watch now. This is courtesy of Tony. I still can only tell the time on it, and so but I've never ran to watches. I've never ran to pacing or times. I just know my own running, and I know what time I'm doing. So I run to how I feel comfortable, and I felt comfortable, so I just ran. And then when I got to Helmsley, and Shelli said about what time I'd done to get there and how much people were talking about it, I thought, well, maybe I ran slightly too quickly.
So you got to Helmsley ahead of the 110 starting off?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well ahead of
about
those
1
guys.
o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
half 1 in the morning, I think I came through there.
So you were flying?
Yeah, it felt good. But I knew I'd naturally slow down anyway. I just wanted to get clear of the field and then do my own race and not be under any pressure. But I hadn't been eating particularly well the few weeks before it. I'd had a few things going on at home and I hadn't eaten. And then the week before I got really concerned that, I haven't eaten, I'm going to go and do 160 miles. So I started downing a load of energy drinks and vitamin things and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, I wouldn't ever recommend doing that before a race. So I had a really bad stomach, which started at Helmsley and didn't stop until after I'd finished. So, so every village hall with a toilet I really appreciated. And then when I got to stay, there was toilets there, thank goodness, so I went running in there. I'd seen somebody I recognised sat outside the pub in the sun, and I just waved in, said hello, and ran in the loo, came out, and I knew the two people behind me were running together, the second place. And I came out and this guy was stood outside the loo, which was quite embarrassing because I'd just been in the loo. And he just says, while you've been in the loo, 2 people have come through. So I thought I'd been caught, and I thought the second place lads have come through and they've passed me. So I was shooting off up the hill out of stairs, really cross with myself, and I can't believe I've been beaten because I've been in the toilet. But I couldn't find them, couldn't see them at all. I was running along the cliffs really depressed and crossing myself, thinking I'm never going to catch them. And anyway, it took about maybe 5-10 miles before somebody told me they were actually the 110 runners. The first place 110 runners. They were in a different race. And then they messed with my head a bit. Not my sport team didn't do it by, it's nothing intentional, but I think they were trying to encourage me and keep me motivated to go. So I was being told, right, you're 5 miles clear, followed by you're 5 kilometres clear, which is a bit of a difference, isn't it? And 3 miles, I thought, that just takes stone in your shoe, a bit of messing on with your laces, stop to have a drink, stop a little bit longer at a checkpoint you've been caught if they're having a good time and you're having a bit of a rubbish period. So I thought that's not far enough ahead. I want to be further ahead. And then it was right, you're 2 hours ahead to you're 20 minutes ahead, and it's too much to comprehend when you haven't been to bed for 2 nights. And at that stage it's too difficult. You try to do the maths in your head and you're going over and over and over, and then you're losing track and thinking, where am I can't remember, how far ahead am I? Right, if that means if I do this and they do that then I can still be beaten. I don't want to lose. So,
but do you find your head's a shed at that point?
Totally,
and you just can't, you can't work it out anyway?
It's far too difficult to work out. But that was my entertainment for about maybe 10 miles or so, trying to work that out in my head. And then I got to Caton Bay and Adrian was running with me. And he just said, right, Shelli, you're not going to get beaten, but if you don't get your ass into gear, you're going to be slower than last year. Oh no, I can't be slower. Last year was awful weather, I can't possibly be slower. So I just really picked the pace up and just ran as hard as I could for the last 3 miles or so over the cliffs back to the finish. And then I remember just laid on the floor and saying to Cameron and Shirley, what time did I do? What time did I get? And I think I was 2 minutes quicker. But I wasn't quicker really, because the finish was at Filey Brig, it wasn't at Filey School. So it was actually slower. But if you look at the times, it looks as if I was 2 minutes quicker.
But you won overall?
Yeah,
You were first
I
overall.
did win overall.
And where was the second? How far behind you was the second place really?
2 hours.
So there was no problem.
No,
There was
not
never
at
a
all.
problem.
But I would never, even if I'm winning on things, I would never. If you get to a checkpoint and they say you're in first place, I just think, oh no, don't tell me that, because I don't want to know. And I can easily be beaten, and you've never won a race until you finish. If you fall and hurt yourself, or you damage, I don't know, you could damage anything, couldn't you? Or you
Yeah.
could have a really bad spell and they could suddenly have a really good spell, and then you're not in first place anymore,
Yeah.
are you? So
That's right.
So
and-
I never go with that. I just go to trying to prove a point to myself and to race myself, really.
Yeah, well done. But now,
Yeah. Then you went and upped it again.
it's on
200.
200 miles this weekend.
Yeah.
We're here on Tuesday morning. On Friday, you're going to start a 200-mile race.
Yeah, it sounds quite a long road, doesn't it?
Yeah, sounds like a long way to me.
Yeah, that's like running to Cambridge.
That's a long drive,
Yeah.
and you're going to run.
Yeah.
And
Well,
what's-
I'm going to have 10 to.
Yeah, it's the first time ever for the Hardmoors 200.
Yeah.
And there's a time. Is there a time limit on
Yeah,
this?
60-hour time limit.
So-
With lots of really harsh cut-off times when I was looking at it the other day. First
Yeah.
time I've really had a chance to look at anything. I haven't
Okay.
read all of it, to be fair, but some of the bits I looked at saw the cut-off times. And I was looking at the cut-off times and I thought, right, I can make that first track cut-off, so that one should be okay. Then I was thinking 24 hours to Filey, right, but it's only 88 miles, that's okay, I can do that hopefully. But then when I've rent and wrecked the walls away last bank holiday, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm so tired, I don't think I'm going to make it. And then there's cut-off times all the way along the cliffs. I think it's every other checkpoint.
There's a cut-off time.
Yeah, there is.
So there's cut-offs in Saltburn.
Yeah.
Then Kildale.
Yeah. Yeah, there's loads.
Square Corner. All of that.
Yeah.
So how do you think you're going to do?
I don't know, I'll just have to go out and run and see what
You
happens.
feel good?
Not overly. I've had a busy few weeks. We've just opened the shop and I'm still working, and Isla's still competing, and ponies and dogs and breaking down cars and all sorts of things.
Have you looked at the rest of the field? Do you know who else is running?
Yep, I haven't got a clue.
No?
I think it's about 50 of us running.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some people running just wouldn't have mentioned it, so I know Andy and Sarah are running, Norman and Adrian's running. Obviously Adrian's a friend of mine, so I know he's running.
So do you, when you're thinking about a race, do you kind of have a look at the competitors list, and are you interested in that at
No.
all? And why
No.
not? Why
I normally
not?
try not to, because I did a psychology degree for one thing, and so the only reason I've ever used psychology is on myself, not on anything else. And I just want to do my own race and not be put off by what I know about somebody else. It's the same as when I've interviewed people for posts and things. I've always done blind marking and things like that for the application stage, because I don't want to be put off by what I know personally about that person, or how their running is, or how their racing is. I can't control what they're doing, I can only control what I'm doing. So I want to just do the best I can. I don't want to know that they can run this distance in this time, because then that just puts me off mine. I need to know what I can run that distance in and how I'm feeling. It's no good worrying about what everyone else is doing.
So when you get to a really tough place in a race, can
Yeah.
you think of a tough place you've been on the 110 or the 160? What, when you're having a word with yourself, what are you saying to yourself?
1 year on the 160 for Sadie, she was my bit of my inspiration there, and I wanted to do it. That was the year that I won overall, and that's probably the one time that I've really wanted to win, because I like all the camaraderie between the girls, and I'd much rather encourage somebody else to finish and to do well than to think, well, I'll try and beat them. So if you look at any races or times I've done, I've quite frequently finished with somebody, and it's not always because I need to be with somebody, or I want to run with somebody, or I feel comfortable running with people. I've always ran on my own, and I've raced forever before ultras even came on the scene. But I just like to, I don't know, I like to run with somebody. So when I finished with Carol Morgan on the 60 a few years ago, Carol had bumped her head at Brunswick Bay and I'd fallen and slipped my knee open at Bowlby. So I was actually going to drop out. If the checkpoint was at Stairs, I was dropping out. Anyway, it wasn't. It was at Sands End, by which time I'd pulled myself together. I said, get a grip and get a move on. But I had blood pouring down my leg. Carol had a huge lump on her head, and we'd both had a really rubbish day and just been on our own for the whole day. Anyway, we met the other end of Scarborough and we just ran together to finish and cheered ourselves up a bit. And we've been friends ever since. So I've met some lovely people running, and I would rather do that than race 100 metres just to be in front of somebody or to beat them. I'm not into that.
So it's about the journey. It's
about the journey.
Not...
Yeah, and I think for that tough time on the 160, to go back to your question, that time it was, yeah, you can't give up. There's people that are wanting me and rooting for me to win. Shirley had told me that when I'd come through Helmsley, and she said about all the hype there was around it and how much the girls was so impressed with what I was doing, and I just thought I can't let them down. So I wanted to do that for them more than anything else. So when things were really tough, I was thinking of Sadie and I was thinking of all the other girls, and I thought, no, you just need to do this, and it's only going to be a few hours of big pain and things, and have a bath afterwards and be all right. Back to normal.
Pain is temporary.
Exactly, it is, isn't it? So I'll be telling myself that quite a few points over the next weekend.
So next Saturday night, I'll be telling you.
So if you see me whinging,
yeah,
give me a kick.
I'll see you next Saturday night on Roseby Topping. I'll be saying, pain's only temporary, Shelley.
Yeah, normally when I've seen it at Roseby Topping, I've had a little bit of a chat and things, haven't I?
You're always cheerful.
Try to be. Because as well as that, that's what normally checkpoint people do say that to me. That everybody on the checkpoints puts themselves out for us to be able to run, and I really appreciate that. And I can't believe that they've just come out in the middle of the night, up some hill, mountain, freezing cold. The weather never seems to be good in the middle of the night, does it? It never seems to be, well, it's never going to be warm, is it? But it's a long time to be out waiting for people to come through that are complaining.
But the dawn is always great. When you're out all night on a big hill, and the dawn's beautiful when the sun comes up, and then you guys running up and down all the time. It's great.
But I just want the checkpoint people to know that I do appreciate them being there and being there for me, and it always gives me a lift as well. I think my mood lifts when I see people. I like people. I'm quite social.
Yeah.
So I think when I see people, it just really gives me that bit of a boost, and I just want them to know that I'm grateful for that.
That's brilliant.